Hey guys, Ashlane here coming at you today discussing the re-emergence of BARCH farming in Clash of Clans. Now on the screen right now are your new hero regen times, starting with Barbarian King, moving to Archer Queen, comparing the old time to the new time. And the reason I'm showing you guys these charts is because this is the main reason that BARCH is now more viable maybe than it ever has, especially if you're going to be around your device for a while. Whether you're boosting or you're not boosting, this army could be the best and fastest way to get a lot of loot if you can commit to attacking multiple times within an 1 hour or even longer period. And we'll discuss both options in terms of boosting and not boosting, and I'll talk about what I do when I'm not barching too to complement this strategy. So it's a 16-minute army to cook. It's 4 minutes to cook on boost. You get 3.2 spell slots per raid, and the full spells if you have the spell factory on boost. So that's why it's so viable. So the reason that BARCH, one of the reasons that BARCH was less popular and you couldn't use BARCH anymore in the game was because of the hero and spell regen time. When you're using such a light and cheap and fast cooked army, you really need to rely on your heroes more often than not. I prefer Lavalunian farming when both of my heroes are upgrading, but when my heroes are available and they're actually awake, now with the new hero regeneration time, you can actually use them on every single raid. What I do is I boost. I plan a boost session every day. Well, that's my game plan anyway. I did it today for the last 2 hours or so. I've been doing some work in between, so I haven't gotten every raid in, but look at my attack log. Now, none of these raids are these sexy 1 million plus resources or 2 million resource raids. Instead, they're steady and consistent. Everything's around 500,000 with the league bonus or higher combined loot. Maybe 600,000 some of these raids, maybe even 700,000 or more. Like this raid, for example, it's very easy. I've been bringing 1 golem with my BARCH armies. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because of the 15-minute timer now, to be honest with you. The timer on the golem, that is. It only takes 15 minutes to cook, and my dark barracks aren't doing anything, and personally, I'm really working and focusing on my defenses and walls, so I don't mind paying the 700 or so dark elixir for the golem, and then I make half of that back on my league bonus because I am farming in Crystal 1. I believe it's a 350 dark elixir bonus as long as I can pick up the win. I do try to pick up the win more often than not. Now let's talk for a second about this golem that I'm using here. Now the reason I'm using a golem is because essentially it's because of the new 15-minute cook timer on that golem. My army takes 16 minutes to cook. My golem takes 15 minutes, so I figured, hey, the dark barracks isn't doing anything. I know a golem can add a really lot of extra versatility in case I'm not finding these collector raids, because not every base is going to be a dead base, and we'll do a live raid in this episode too, just to show you guys what I'm looking for and what I'm not looking for. So right now, I'm not scared to use my heroes. Half the time, I have to be more patient when I'm skipping over bases, but that actually does carry an added benefit with this army, because remember, that 16-minute troop cook time is actually taking place while you're nexting and searching for the perfect base to hit. So essentially, if you can go ahead and put up with the skipping, the nexting, and find a really nice hit like I do, sometimes I'll skip 15 to 20 times looking for a base if I have to, and I know that in the back of my mind, my army might be even ready to go, including heroes. Now is a good time to mention the heroes, right? So my Barbarian King and my Archer Queen, I always boost when I'm barching. Now that's going to make it so that they are available every single raid. No matter what level your heroes are, your heroes will be available within that 16-minute time frame under the new hero regen times that I showed you in the beginning of this episode. So now that you can actually use your heroes and spells during every single raid if you want to. Now I don't use my spells unless I really have to. On this raid, I think I did use a rage and a jump spell just to access that core, because I did want to get that dark elixir and I wanted to get the town hall down, knowing that 1/5 of the loot is in the town hall. Kind of acts as a 5th storage. You guys already know that. So the idea here is that I brought you this replay because I wanted to show that there is some room for versatility with this army, right? So you can rely on, if you're going to bring the golem like I do, you can rely on the golem to help you beef up your attack a little bit and access the core of the base. Otherwise, you can rely on your heroes to do that, and again, you will have your heroes available every single match. Now, if you're not a gemmer, if you don't spend any money even to gem or boost your barracks or to boost your heroes, well, you can still save up your yard trash gems, and I've actually found that you can actually sustain maybe 1 boost a day just using the yard trash that you clear out. Now, when I say 1 boost a day, I mean that you can boost your heroes over a couple hour period, because it's only 10 gems to boost both of your heroes unless you're Town Hall 11 and you have a Grand Warden. In that case, I don't think you would mind using 15 gems. But the idea here is that you can really bust out raids. If you're the type of person who's willing to boost all your barracks in these BARCH attacks, that's when you can really make some serious loot. And let me tell you, bang for your buck, you're not going to get more loot if you know how to pick the bases you're attacking using any other attack versus BARCH attacks. Now, I just happen to have bowlers in my clan castle here. The reason I put the clan castle down is I forgot what I had in it way over there. But you can see my technique for barching is usually encompassing around 180 degrees of the base. So I'm covering basically 2 sides of the base with my barbarians and my archers. Now, in this case, I don't have a golem with me, but if I did have a golem, I would cover the 3rd side, or the third 90 degrees. If I'm covering 180 degrees with the BARCH, I'll cover a 3rd side with my golem backed up by about 20 to 30 archers. And then the 4th side, if it's a dead base and a collector raid, I'll use my heroes on. So this is a good example that one I just played for you guys of using my heroes on the back end and using BARCH for the first 180 to 270 degrees of the base, depending on what the base looks like layout-wise. So my army, I want to talk a little bit about my army. So you don't have to use a golem. If you're farming Dark Elixir, obviously don't use a golem. Don't use any Dark Elixir troops. Sure, you won't have that big meat shield, but I would advocate maybe mixing in 4 or 5 giants, because 4 or 5 giants, you can drop those guys right before you drop the barbarians, right before you drop the other troops, and they'll take some fire away from you, and maybe trigger traps away from your archers and your barbarians, and that will be a bonus for you too. So if you're not using a golem, I personally would bring 4 or maybe 5 giants, deploy them before the BARCH. Now, as far as the BARCH army goes, you can see I try to keep my ratio around 3/5 archers and 2/5 barbarians on my army. Now, I don't have an exact number that I live and die by, but I prefer to have more archers than barbarians. I think that's safe to say, as the barbarians are basically only a really short-lived meat shield for your archers to get that loot that's in the collectors. Now, you don't always have to necessarily hit collector bases, but obviously that's what you have the spells for. It gives you that versatility if you do choose to hit a more fortified base. Now, I personally like to boost my spell factory too. That way I always have spells ready to go if I need them. You can see I prefer 2 rage spells and 2 jump spells on my BARCH armies. That's just me, but I've always preferred rage and jump. Jump for the heroes and the golem. And by the way, guys, look at this loot on this village here we have. We're not going to get it all because it looks like a lot of it might be in storages inside the base or around the edges. I'm just going to go ahead and use the golem with the archer strategy here. It doesn't look like there's many point defenses that can target my archers. And then on the west here, I'll use the barbarians, and then quickly followed by some archers here. I could be a little bit quicker on the deployment, but the device I use to record on, for whatever reason, I can't use more than 3 fingers when deploying the troops. But it's okay, and we're still going to get most of this loot, hopefully, here. So the archers are finally starting to dig into those collectors. I'm going to rely heavily on my heroes here. I haven't dropped them yet. Going to wait to see how much cleanup I need to do here with the archers. And this is exactly what a BARCH raid is all about, right? You're not going to get every single time, you're not going to get 100% of the loot, unless you're going to bully a Town Hall 8. But the idea is to surgically get as much of the loot as you possibly can. Probably could have done a little bit better of a job hitting the southwest portion of this base, but either way, my heroes are going to make their way a little bit more into the core there. There is a significant amount of loot in the storages as well. Sometimes with the artwork, it's hard to tell exactly how much is where, but either way, you're going to see that we did get the star. We're going to end the battle, and we ended up with over 700,000 plus the league bonus. So certainly very happy with that, and I can go ahead and have my next army ready within 5-6 minutes. So this is the beautiful thing of the BARCH army. It's fast and it's affordable, and if you're willing to commit to some time to the game as Oh my god, we can finally, for the first time, and it feels like forever. It's been 6 months since we can actually stay on the game and continuously raid, and boy, I am just so happy to experience that again. I know I'm gushing here, but the game just feels new and fresh again. Obviously, there's much more on the way that needs to be added competitively to the game. I'm not whitewashing the entire, last few months of Clash of Clans and saying that everything is perfect, but boy, this is a step in the right direction. Hope you guys agree with me. Either way, thank you so much for spending some of your day with me, and as always, take care, guys.
We don't play for fame, we don't play for cash. We just play for the glory and the crash of the ash.